Is that better?
Probably.
We're good. All right.
All right. I guess we're live here. Just got back from practice.
Yeah, sorry guys. It took a lot longer to drive through Toronto than I thought it would.
Definitely. But we're here now. So we're gonna be doing which game are we doing today?
Montreal.
Against Montreal, which was a pretty good game. Game we were pretty stoked for, especially because Montreal beat us when we were in when a lot of us were in Colombia. So we were pretty pumped to play them and hopefully get a win on them. No shower? No shower. Okay,
Straight here.
Straight here. Straight to Twitch. Right? Because we knew you guys were waiting, so we made it though. All right, I guess we should just jump right in.
Let's start this game. So we were hoping this game to talk about marks.
Yeah, that's one thing we want to focus on. So this is something that we've been focusing on a lot this year is our marks, and so we wanted to just look at every single time somebody comes on a mark. Whenever somebody's doing something good or something bad, we're gonna stop and we're gonna highlight it just so we can take a look at that.
So as usual, the start of our game starts a little bit into the first play. We had a huck to Isaiah that he couldn't get to. That was the start.
And also, unfortunately, we don't have a scoreboard here. Whoever was filming this, they did not put the score overlay. So I guess what we're going to have to try and do is just verbally say what the score is after each point. And
But
hopefully we can keep track of that.
Rest assured, they got a nasty email.
Yeah.
So don't worry about that.
Yeah, we are not. Next time, this will not happen. We have a game this coming Saturday, June 11th, and there better be a friggin' overlay there or we're going to be pretty pissed. Okay, so let's look at these marks here. So we started this game on O. Now, obviously, we like to start the game on D, but unfortunately that didn't work out. But it looks like we're about to get this turn anyways. That was a pretty good mark there by Steve Armitage in the end zone to force that. I mean, it's pretty easy to mark when the guy's 10 yards deep in the end zone because you really don't have much to worry about going backfield, but still a good job by him, I would say.
Stream is inconsistent. We're watching it. Looks okay.
Yeah, it looks okay
for
on
us,
our end.
but
maybe give Twitch a restart there or something like that. Refresh the page. So that's 1-0 rush right now. So it's our first D point of the game. Let's see how we come down here on the mark. So you might notice that we didn't get much chance to look here. Okay, I just want to talk about this for a second. Actually, here, 1 sec. What is it?
Command shift.
Okay, yeah. So let's look at what happens here on this turnover. So generally speaking, I would say on a turnover, we want to move the disc as fast as possible. And I don't mean to sell Tolia out here, but what he does in this instance is not good. So you can see I'm standing here right in the middle of the field. My mark, number 17, Antoine Genet, a couple yards off of me, standing up in the field. Now, what Tolia probably should do in this instance is just throw the disc to me. And I don't mean that just because it's me. It could be anybody there. But what he probably should do is just get the disc moving around the field. But instead, he has eyes only for upfield right now, looking for that break side. And what ends up happening, obviously, he gets kind of blocked here and maybe fouled. But in the end, it's not the greatest decision. Like, you've got to get it moving as fast as you can. Make the defense have to set themselves or look around and try and figure out what's going on. And, they end up just getting a first pass score right off of it. So, not ideal.
You really did sell Tolia out, though.
I mean, it's true, though. That's a good instructional. Hopefully he watches this and he'll say, you know what, next time I'm not going to do that. Montreal doesn't have a lot of tall players. No, that's pretty true. They have two guys who are pretty big. Kevin Grew and there's another guy. I can't remember his name right now, but he's got kind of long hair in a ponytail, and he had a couple pretty good deep strikes on us. So this is an interesting kind of defense that they ran against us for pretty much the entire game, I would say. Quite loose on our handlers, a lot of poaching going on, but I would say fairly man on the cutters. I don't know if you would agree with that, having played on the O-line.
Yeah, and what we're used to when we play Montreal is they're poachy, but then when it gets to that we have to reset the disc, they position their mark where they really take away the dump, and that's kind of what we're really used to. So usually when we they'll position, they'll take away the dump, and then when our dump goes backfield, it's very difficult to get to them.
Definitely, and we'll see. They do that quite a bit this game. We'll highlight it when it happens, and we'll see quite a bit of this. And as you can see here, look at this flag waving. Pretty decent upwind downwind situation in this game. That definitely made quite a few passes go awry.
Was it part of the game plan to use the height advantage? I think our offense always kind of uses our height advantage. They're the rare team that we don't have a height advantage against, and you see that when we do a lot of split stack and we isolate our players, and we threaten the deep and then get the big unders. So I think we don't really change our plan, but I think other teams we see they'll really change their defense because of our height advantage. So you'll like Adrian was talking about, Montreal will really be switchy and poachy to not let us get those 1-on-1s.
Definitely. And to that effect, this past weekend we had a doubleheader in the U.S. playing against D.C. and New York. That's something that Washington D.C. did very effectively against us, and we'll probably end up doing a broadcast of that game where we'll be able to take a look at that, because that's something that they really did to great effect against us, was a lot of switches and eliminate those one-on-one matchups, which we kind of rely on to beat people. Looks like foul on the mark there on Mike Jones with the disc. And see, this is just marking around the end zone is just so tough. You really have to trust your defenders in the lane, because it's so easy to bite on fakes. It's so easy when you're around the end zone to just bite on every fake the guy makes, because you want to stop. Every potential throw around the end zone is deadly, but you really got to trust, because as soon as you bite on that one fake on the open side, they're just going to break you, no problem.
Yeah, I remember this was not a good structured play. We had 4 or 5 picks.
A lot of picks.
I almost kind of want to go back through and figure out what went wrong in this one.
Oof. Just blew out a tire there from Martinez.
Yeah,
Okay. I remember what's about to happen right now. So, again, I don't mean to sell anybody out here, but let's just use this as a moment.
The comments just sold you out, though. Adrian dropped a poll during that game in the last one.
Yeah, it's true. I did drop a poll in that game. It was, to be fair, it probably looked hilarious. I haven't watched it yet, but it probably looked
I have watched it.
Hit me right in the head. Okay, but let's watch this mark here. So, something we've been talking about a lot is challenging every throw, especially in the first 2 stalls of a stall count, right? So, Alex Flathouse, he's coming here. He looks back, checks where the dump is, and stands right on the side of the guy. So you can see where he's positioned is right beside the mark, leaving a completely open flick hop, which can come out very quickly, and there's no way that he would be able to challenge that if he does go to throw that.
I want to watch this too, because I think there's another thing. So another thing that I don't think happened here. I'm going to watch if at any time Alex looked behind to figure out where the dump is. Mm-hmm. Because if he's gonna protect the dump, then you can protect the dump. But there you go. So right there. So that's pretty good. I'm not so sure. So I guess my point is, if he's not going to jump in front and stop the huck, if we're not going to go straight up right now, if his goal is to protect the throw to the dump, you should be very aware of where the dump is. Because where he stopped right now, you can see the dump is set up with no mark. Rumi's allowing that. But Alex is also allowing that as well.
He is saying you cannot throw to Rumi right now.
Yeah.
I'm not allowing that throw.
But we would love it if you threw it to Rumi.
I would be okay with that.
So I think if you're on this mark here, if you got a hucker and you're on the line, maybe you do want to force him to throw it to the dump. In that case, Rumi probably needs to be right on his guy. But if you're going to have Rumi out in the lane like that, which is maybe a separate topic, if you're going to do that, your mark should have a look back, and Alex in this case should have been really aggressive on the backhand dump, and force something more difficult. In the end, though, he just put out the flick huck and they got it.
Yeah, pretty good challenge there by Martinez, but number 80, I believe that is Kevin Gruel.
So we've sold out Tolley.
Sold out Vlahouse.
We sold out Vlahouse.
See who else we can get this. Oh, we're gonna be able to sell me out a couple times.
Yeah.
I got a couple duds coming up. Don't worry. So here they are again, coming with a pretty loose kind of pseudo zone. You can see 21. He just leaves Isaiah there. We don't hit him, or we probably should, but now he's off to the races. And see, this is what I don't really understand what they were trying to go for with this.
We pretty much every time a ref makes a bad call, we call it out, right? So
yeah.
So we'll just go right here.
Oh,
not in call. It
in.
seemed pretty obvious to me, but
yeah, that was
so
pretty in. Well,
so we've called the ref out.
Yeah.
Sold the ref.
Link there. And this is a pretty dirty throw there by Nate. That was sweet. Really, really good throw.
I hate our blue at the back of the end zone because it looks like the blue's out of bounds, but it goes another few yards.
Yeah.
Just something that annoys me.
Yeah. But I do want to keep looking at what Montreal is trying to do with this zone, because I'm not really sure. It doesn't seem like they're putting a lot of pressure on the handlers. But then what we kind of ended up doing to combat that was to bring a cutter back and help. But they didn't have anybody come back and help them with the cutters, with the one cutter who was back. So it just ended up being a 4-on-3 with, and they never really figured that one out. Oh, geez, we forgot to announce the score. I think it's 3-2 now for us. No, 4-2, because that was our first break of the game. Okay, I think it's 4-2 for the Rush right now. You can see here, so Montreal, something that we were talking about in the previous game in Montreal. Okay.
Look at this. This is awesome.
Yeah. So
let's just follow this guy. So what happened
is
he catches it out of bounds. But let's just follow him there. It
he's at the top
pretty...
of the screen right now at the 30-yard line. Look at him. 5 yards out of bounds.
Oh man.
What are you doing?
And now he's like, come on,
oh,
you caught me out on that.
What do you mean? This line? That's
okay, let's watch his mark. Let's watch his mark here.
See, that's pretty good. See, what he did there was, I think, what Montreal always tries to do, which was to take away the backfield. But what the other guy did... Okay. Here, let's look at this. Oh, geez, what did I just do? Okay, perfect. So, one thing I want to talk about here. So, this is something that somebody asked us in one of our previous broadcasts, that our dumps, throws, generally speaking, are nice looping throws out to space that allow guys to run onto it. Now, watch what happens here. How Gord comes down the field from the stack and curls in towards the throw as he catches it, rather than away from the throw to catch it. So what that allows his defender to do is to set up perfectly on him. If Gord is able to curve away from the throw and catch it facing the bottom of the screen, facing towards the 30 on the, I guess that's the east side of the stadium, now he's going to be able to get off a good throw. But because he has to curl towards the throw, His man is able to mark up so perfectly on him. He's already on that break side, and now that break throw is 10 times harder, and he ends up getting a hand block so easily like that.
But they just threw it right
and
away.
And they just gave it right back to us, so not the biggest deal. And then he comes straight back with a huge... Oh, I agree. So if he doesn't curve towards the throw, his defender has a shot at the block. Definitely. I don't mean that as a knock on Gord's cut. It's more a knock on the throw. So what we want to do with our throws, our dump throws, is always have a nice looping throw that a guy can run onto facing the other side. But what happens, because the throw is a little bit short, he has to curve towards the throw to catch it, which allows his defender to get in the proper position. I mean, and it's tough with the wind, kind of, as I said, it's a bit of an up and down situation, so it's not the easiest of throws to throw a nice looping throw, but still, that's kind of the strategy that we're looking for, and it didn't execute there.
So, this is a pretty good straight up. So, this is a pretty common, even though we're doing, I think, backhand force on this, right? Right at the beginning, this is a pretty common where you really get in there and you stop the huck on the first. This is a pretty common marking strategy, I guess, like where you go straight up for two, you'll say, and so the first couple you'll be straight up, and then
definitely, and that's what we were talking about earlier with Laos. That didn't happen.
Yeah,
was that for the first two stalls he was really heavily on that break side, and they end up getting a first pass huck. So this is some good movement up the field here, going east-west. So now we're all the way on the east. Let's get it back to the west.
Lucyism. What number? I don't know. I didn't notice. What number?
Just got the score.
Caught the score. Do you know that?
It was Rumi.
It was Rumi. Oh, it was Rumi. Oh, because in the DT game, he was wearing Phil Watanabe's jersey. That's why.
Yeah. So that must have.
So it's Rumi from
Rumi Tejpar.
Tejpar from Vancouver, who's here to practice with us until Worlds this next week.
Yeah, he played on the Riptide for the first half of the season, from what I understand. But now he'll be playing on the Rush for the rest of the season. Him and Tolia as well. Oh, geez. 6-2? Yeah. Nice fake there by Kevin Quinlan.
So that seemed like a pretty good mark here. So
yeah, so you see Vlahos, we're forcing flicker.
So he really gets that in, stops it. Maybe he probably should have gone a bit to the left to go under to stop the huck,
But one thing we talk about with hucks is that, if a guy really wants to huck it,
and then it's
going to be pretty tough to stop him from hucking it. But so what you want to do is just challenge that huck, get in front of his face, so he's going to have to huck around you. Now with that loopy huck, it's going to allow your defender 2-3 more steps to get in position, and Jones has those 2 steps and comes right down with the D. So good job there by Vlahos, making up for his earlier marking snafu. Jones.
Nixel, aren't there rules about are there rules about swapping jerseys? If you're playing Ultimate, you can make up any rule you want. That's just part of the game. So yeah, he wore Phil's jersey, he wore Shoes' jersey. I think it says coach on the back. We're playing Ultimate here still. It's not, the game hasn't changed.
Yeah, definitely. And there he goes, Rumi. Throws the most difficult throw possible in that situation. To Vlahos for the score. 7-2, I believe. So wheels are coming off a little bit for Montreal. But you know what? It doesn't really seem like we're putting all that much defensive pressure on them. I think we're just executing a little bit better than them.
Yeah, they've turned. I mean, the first point they dropped it.
Yeah.
A couple others. Now we're doing a bit of a zonish look.
Yeah. And they just break so right through the middle there. That's definitely not what we want. So let's see what happens here.
So this is their height, Kevin Drew.
Yeah. It looks like we're transitioning into man at this point. Although the transition looks a little slow. Kevin
Oh,
Drew
man.
just
So that's
with
one of a few, if I remember, scoobers.
Yes, he's definitely had some scuba troubles in this game. Huckfest this game. Yeah, so I feel like that's kind of what happens a lot with upwind downwind situation games is that you get a lot of just boosting it deep as much as possible, especially downwind because it's so hard to work it back up the field. Timeout by Shooter. Didn't end up turning over the disc after that timeout, so we won't put one in the column there, but still probably a good idea to get our O on the field here. Let's see here. So, see, that's, we've talked about this a lot before on the Twitch, but that's a pretty awesome thing about the AUDL as opposed to USAU or WFDF timeouts is that you can sub in your entire line.
So I think I remember this point, and I want to watch this point twice because I think there's some points about going to the break side versus the open side and how there are actually two strategies that you can kind of do both of them, and they're both can be effective for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So watch where our players are. Oh, no. Okay. So we swing it to the middle. Cam gets it. Right back down. We beat our man to the open side. Swing it back around.
We're on the break side here. Do we keep working
Flip
it up
it.
the open side?
Flip it. And then we beat our man up. Nice cut from Nate. And a big score.
Oh, I don't think he gets in there.
Well,
oh, okay. So this is. So you know what? We
that's good enough. I'm going back. We can watch that in a second.
Yeah.
So that's what that was what happened, and I thought that was a lot because that was maybe our strategy of using our height and using our effectiveness on the being able to beat our man on the open side. But at this point, so now let's so that was us going to the open side. I'm kind of wanting to picture what would happen and what would be different if we wanted to just strike down the break side, which is something that we'll do at other times.
Right.
So the first thing that I can see is that Nate and his guy. It's not so bad. He's actually very wide and clear. But when you're in the horizontal and you're wide like that, and then your handler cover is out in the lane, I think a good thing for Nate to do here is go upfield a bit.
Right.
So that his guy, if he goes upfield a bit, if he now makes a clear cut, his guy has to go with him.
Yeah.
And it lets him go backfield still. He can still go backfield and get the swing.
Yeah.
So that might open up this first cut. And I'd also
because right now the break side is completely nullified by this guy's standing.
That's right. And so if you're really focused on going to the break side, or maybe it's an upwind or something like that, this first cut that I'm making here is one that's a great one to look at. But it couldn't go with Nate's guy in the lane.
Yeah.
So Isaiah catches a disc and we swing it. So this is the next point that could be like if you really wanted to focus on the break. So you see here when Isaiah oh shoot. How far did I go back?
Just a little bit.
I went too
That's
far
fine.
back.
No, that's okay.
So the
right
next
here,
thing
Thompson.
you do right here, as Cam's getting that, if we're wanting to go down the open side, this is good. If we're wanting to go down the break side, though, the change would be that Thompson here would clear out of that spot completely.
Yeah.
You might even have because I remember what happened.
So
next.
Thompson standing on the hash mark there, directly beside. So now he's moving to directly beside Cam.
Right.
But instead, he should be clearing across the field up towards the bottom.
If you wanted to go break side, he could bolt. And I actually think because there's another cutter. Yeah, so that would have left Nate to go way under here. And it would have left me as well, in this case, to go across too. But I think it probably would have been Nate in that situation.
Yeah.
So we get that again. And here's the same thing. If we wanted to really focus on going on the break side, I think again both both Thompson and Cam here would clear way across, and I think we had Nate here for a ton of our yards over there. But we instead we lose a bunch of yards, and then the next, I don't know. I guess this is probably pretty good. You probably want to go, but if you were very focused on the break side. Another thing that Nate can do as soon as he throws it to Isaiah is clear across as well and go to the break.
I think generally
that would have gone on the other side.
Generally speaking, as a handler on the break side, you probably just run it now, but generally speaking, as a handler on the break side, your job is not to get the disc. Your job is to clear out of that space to get your defender away from that space so that whoever's in the middle of the field can throw to the break side. Like as when I'm in that break side, as on the break side handler, I always, and it's funny because sometimes it doesn't really seem like the timing ever works, but when you get a sweep clear and then you just have somebody coming down and he gets an easy throw, it actually is so awesome. It's so devastating. It's such a perfect, easy around throw.
Yeah.
And you can get so many yards from it.
But I think it also changes. Sometimes you might want to do one strategy. Sometimes you might want to do another. It depends how you're being covered or anything like that as well.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Still an assist. Kind of wouldn't mind an apology from Isaiah, too, for dropping that one.
Yeah. I think you'll get one. I just don't think you asked.
Yeah, but if you ask for an apology,
that's...
What does it mean?
You know what? You're right. So another thing that we've been talking about a lot this year is staying right on resets. We don't ever want to give anybody a free reset. So no matter where the disc is on the field, if you're on a reset handler, unless we've specifically talked about having a guy go out into the lane to poach there, it's like you should never be off your guy. Never allow them to look upfield for 4 seconds, knowing that at any point they can just turn around and hit a free reset. And I think we did that a couple times this point. Hold on, we got a question here. Why set up there in the first place if your primary job is to clear?
Yeah, so that's interesting because I can sort of think of three different situations. The first is simply you threw the disc from the break side to the middle, in which case, of course you're there. The second is if it's a vertical offense and you have two handlers back, I generally think I prefer the handler setting on the open side. So in that case, I don't think you should set there. But then the other time is that there's three handlers in a horizontal, and it really is just you don't want to you have to be somewhere. You kind of have to be spread a bit, and it really changes. If your man is very tight on you, you might drop backfield a little bit because it'll bring him out of the play. But if your man is loose, you might need to do something else, and that might mean you have to clear that spot. And then the other cut that's really good, if you're in that break side spot, is you start in the break, you go up a bit, and you cut across in a bit of a L cut.
Yeah.
In which case you're clearing, but you're also a threat, so your guy has to go with you. But I don't know. I don't know if you have any other thoughts on why you might be there.
I mean, I think that's a good point. It's really just I'm thinking of other places that you could potentially be. So either you would have two guys over on the open side, which could get a little cluttered. Maybe not so much in an AUDL field, depending on where the disc is, or you would have your guy directly behind. And so I think your two options really are having somebody directly behind the person with the disc or on the break side, because you really want to have as few people as you possibly can up in the stack, especially if you're doing a horizontal stack, because you want to clear that space. Picks are so devastating, can be so devastating in the AUDL, especially. You just are going to be losing yards and losing yards. So you want to have as few people out there as possible. So your only two options are to be directly behind the handler with the disc or to the break side. And I think directly behind, you have very few options of where to go. Whereas if you're setting up on the break side, as Link said, if your guy is tight on you, then maybe you can go backfield, or you can come around behind them and get an easy flip behind, or you can slash it all the way across the field, and that have that be a threat. So I think just being on the break side, you have a couple of options, whereas anywhere else, you're really limiting yourself as to where you can go. Yeah, that was a sweet deep eye bomber.
Do you plan specific matchups before the game or right before pulling? Well, I can tell you that I play offense, so I do not. I do not look at this at all. This right here is the most strategy that I do is talking about the game after the fact on this Twitch. But Shooter, our coach, definitely has matchups. Yeah, he's definitely got matchups. We're kind of lucky enough, I would say, that a lot of our strategy will be putting, multiple guys throughout a game on some of the top players, especially teams like that we are, much deeper than. Mm-hmm. So you might see on their top guys, you might see Carroll, Bonner, a couple other people that'll play him. Really, I don't know, really tire them out by the end of the third or fourth quarter.
Yeah, I think we definitely have ideas. Like, everybody kind of knows. I would say that our team on defense is very realistic. People know realistically their own strengths and their own weaknesses, and so nobody is trying to take people that they can't cover, or that people know what they're good at. And generally speaking, we have a lot of scouting on the other teams, and we have homework assignments where we watch tape, and we know other people's tendencies. So a lot of the times, especially with teams that we don't know, we'll do something where we'll go down in waves. So we'll pick 3 guys, saying you guys are going to go down on the handlers, and then we'll say for the other 4 guys, you guys are going to go down on the cutters, just because we might not know who their handlers are, who their cutters are, so we don't have to worry about specific matchups on specific people. All we're doing is matching up on specific positions. I think we should go back and look at what just happened.
Okay. We got some blame to put?
Yeah, some big-time blame is about to go out right now.
Okay.
So this is something that we talked about a couple of broadcasts ago, about opening up your body towards throws. So, I hate to do this.
Yeah.
I hate to do this again, Vlahos. But so watch what happens here when Vlahos catches the disc. He sets up in this backhand stance. Now, in this stance, there's one throw that you can make, which is a backhand down the line. You literally have 0 other throws possible unless you can contort your body like nothing I've ever seen. And it's not a good scene. In order to if you want to step out and throw that backhand, that is always an option if you are squared up to the front of the field. But nothing else is an option when you're not, when you're set up in this backhand stance here. So what I think maybe this is tough, and he kind of backed himself into a hole by standing like this, is literally the only throw that he could possibly throw was this up the line to Jones, but Jones really wasn't all that ready for it, or didn't think it was going to come, and it ends up being a turnover here.
And so what I prefer here is, I would actually square up so you're pretty much face to face with your defender. So imagine him do like a full 90-degree turn, so he is facing. And if you can picture it here, if he's doing that, you can right away tell that a backhand would be something that's available. And what makes it even worse is that when you're so committed to a throw like that, the mark can be just as committed to that same throw. And yeah, that's a good point.
I've got a question here from Pipe Dream. Have you watched any tape of some of the other teams you will be playing at Worlds, like Japan? That's a good question. Actually, we have a full Team Canada homework assignment where we've broken down into groups, and each different group will be following a different different game between two teams that we will be playing at Worlds, and everybody has to take notes as to the team's strengths, the team's weaknesses, their tendencies, and different strategies that we might be able to implement them. And then we're going to come together as a team and go through them all. So we have a lot of tape available, and that's something that's pretty cool that has only really been available in the last couple of years. Now that filming Ultimate is kind of a standard at big tournaments, and so yeah, I'm pretty pumped to watch them tape.
So diabetes, great name. It's diabetes 4000. The problem was with the cut. This is talking about the up the field cut. So I think the point is, you're right. The cut shouldn't have been thrown to, right? The cut shouldn't have been thrown to. Mm-hmm. So the point is, because of his stance, he felt like, that throw was more necessary than he probably would have felt if he was squared up and he could see the field more and he had more throws available. Because I guess the fact that throw shouldn't have been thrown to the person was the fault of the cutter, but the fact that it was a turnover was due to that, if that makes sense.
Exactly, because it's a bad cut. That could have just been a clear cut. He could have just faked that throw and thrown to somebody else. But because of the way he was standing in that full backhand stance, that's really the only cut or the only throw that was available to him.
But I'm okay with. So we blame.
Yeah, I'm okay with putting some blame on Jones.
Let's go Jones.
Yeah, let's
go Jones and Vlahos on that one.
Give Vlahos a little bit of a break and put some major blame on Jones there. Montreal plays small ball. They have players that give and go a lot with lots of lefty backhands. Yeah, see, that's a strategy that they've done that we talked about a lot in the last game against Montreal, where they would put their cutters way, way deep and just play some dominator, just play with their handlers and have them run lots of give and goes. And they do that. I remember them doing that at least once in this game, but they really didn't have a whole lot of that going on this game, or they haven't thus far. There's a huge D there.
Well, I think we were ready for it because they have been still doing some of the same sort of dominator stuff, but I think we were just a lot more ready for it this time.
Yeah.
I wish I knew more what our D was doing, because I think we were talking about
a nasty cut by Carroll there.
Let's watch Carroll's.
Let's
see where did Carroll come from that he did this.
So he's
Carroll
up from the stack right there. Comes down.
Oh, okay.
Just wrecked.
I guess I was, all in all, pretty lazy to be by his defender. Yeah. That actually looked like a situation where he realized he could go in any direction. Yeah. And if you can go in any direction, pick the one that's a goal.
And I think his defender, and this is something that you absolutely cannot do around the end zone, but his defender was watching Tolia much more than he was watching Carroll. And if you're watching the guy with the disc around the end zone, you're dumb. You're gonna get rocked. Okay, there's another one. We can talk about this mark. This is a good example of when not to double team. Okay, so
clearly Jones did not watch this twitch.
Okay, so here we got a double team on with the reset wide open back. Now, what the reset guy should probably do is maybe just take off the field because nobody's looking at him right now. Now Trevor, he fakes that huck. Trevor jumps at it and the huck doesn't come out. Now, what Jones should probably do right now is turn around and run back to that reset. Okay, double team. Is stopped. The only thing that Jones being there on this double team is going to try and stop is that throw backfield to his reset, which you're never going to stop. You're never going to, unless you hand block him, which is almost never going to happen. Now he just turns around, throws it right back to him, and they get a free reset.
Yeah, I actually don't even mind the slight double team for like one stall.
Totally, that was
great.
You
go, and then the whole mindset of the thrower is, I got a double team on me, and then as soon as that happens, boom, you're right on the reset. I kind of don't mind that, but
yeah,
I'm with you because if you just what we had paused, there was nothing that was going to happen, but that person was going to get the disc thrown to him. It wasn't going to get hand blocked. It wasn't going to do anything. He was just going to get the disc.
You're never going to stop that. That was a pretty sweet throw. We got a question here. What would you guys suggest for workouts or general fitness needs for frisbee players? Ultimate, sadly, doesn't seem to have much out about workout routines because of the current popularity of the sport. So, what do you guys do, and what should someone work on to be ultimate fit? I guess. Um,
There is actually more and more.
mhm.
If you look up
Tim Morrill,
Tim Morrill, I
he's
think
got a lot of great stuff.
Moral Performance.
Something like that.
I think he's got a lot of stuff. There's another person I don't remember the name of it.
There's one in Canada as well, like Ultimate Athlete Project or something like that. Something like that. Anyways, there is some materials, but for us, we work with a trainer who's developed a program for kind of personalized for each player that's gone in to do an assessment. But I would say one thing that we've really embraced, I think, across most of the team, is the Tabata.
Yeah.
That's one thing just that you can work on. It's not easy to do necessarily, but it's quite simple. And you can look it up and look up more of the theory about it. But basically what it is it's a running workout on a treadmill. Where you'll set the treadmill to, let's say, 12 miles per hour. And you'll just have it running. And it's 20 seconds off, 10 seconds on. So you'll jump on the treadmill. You'll do that 12-mile-an-hour sprint for 20 seconds. You'll jump off, rest for 10 seconds. You'll jump back on, 20 seconds run, jump off, 10 seconds rest. And you'll do that 8 times. So in total, it's only a 4-minute long workout. But it's such an... So you can... I encourage you to go and look it up and read some theory about it because there's some really cool studies that have been done on it, and it can be really beneficial.
The series basically 20 seconds at max, 10-second rest, and it's 8 iterations of it. It's actually pretty specific to that. So that's what for us we'll do 20 seconds on the treadmill at a pretty fast.
I mean, I guess you could do it for anything. You could do it for swimming. You could do it for a lot of stuff.
But I guess to answer the kind of the question though, like you want to really build up a core base. Like so for us, our first months in the off season is we don't even really lift weight. We just are building up core. So that's ankles, feet, like as well as like core and shoulders and hips, and you kind of we spend a full month building that up before we even touch weights.
Yeah.
Then we kind of go into our power phase. So that's starting squats, to, once you've got that good core, you start adding on to the weight, and you're doing squats and deadlifts and things like that. The whole year we mix in a bit of Tabata and a bit of other kind of, something else we'll do is like 30 seconds at a fast pace, 30 seconds at a jogging pace, and you alternate that for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So you sort of have your strength section, and then you finally, at the end of the year, you kind of go into the performance, and then you lower the weight, and you go more into jumping exercises and sprinting and things like that. That's not really, that's a very brief version, but I'd say, so if you're at the beginning, the first thing you want to do, though, is definitely core. You definitely want to build up the ability to do all those heavy lifting exercises before you'll go into those. And if you see in the comments, tons of different people who are actually now focusing on ultimate athleticism, and I think they all have a lot of material. I know there's some that are paid. I don't think it's very much, and then some that are maybe there's some free stuff there. But
interesting. In the 90s and early 2000s, dominant players were skinny, tall guys, Grant, Scott, Cribber, etc. And now their good players are a lot more bulky. I don't know. That's an interesting observation. I mean, we have a couple of pretty dominant guys who are pretty skinny and tall, so I think it might be just the way that the game is evolving, whereas I feel like at one point the guys who would dominate the game were the big throwers, and now the way that the people who dominate the game are big athletes. And not to say that
I
big
just think
athletes can't be big
in the
throwers.
time, I think people are caught up to working out. So I'll give Mark an example. He was a very, very skinny person.
Yeah.
And if he was playing in the 90s and early 2000s, he probably would stay that
Mm-hmm.
and be a very strong player. But
Yeah.
nowadays, a player like that does go to the gym more and bulks up a bit more.
Yeah, definitely.
12-week program. Who's that?
12-week program.
Is that Melissa?
Melissa Whitmer's?
$57 for 12 weeks
That's
is something you're gonna.
insane.
It's worth spending.
That's unbelievable. That's not even a thing. Oh yeah, there was a cool thing that we had before this game where we had a showcase game between the top Toronto women's team, the Toronto Sixers, against the Team Canada Women's Masters team. So that was a cool little because this was our official Women's Day. Sweet spike
Like
there, Bob.
we don't have to score here, but we're up a
I'm
lot.
pretty sure it's like 13-3 at this point. And Bomber is just pumped about that slide. I mean, it was a good slide. I'll give him that. Was it spike worthy? I don't know. Look at Kevin Underhill. He was skinny a few years back. Now he has the shape of a linebacker.
Yeah. There are definitely
Guys
still
just wanna
people
get-
who are
people just
skinny.
Gotta get strong.